Hey everyone. So today we're going to talk about something that is, frankly, one of the biggest security challenges out there: how we manage the most powerful administrative access in our digital world. We're going to break down a strategy to get this right. So let me just start with a question. Seriously, pause and think about it. In your organization, who holds the keys to the kingdom? The people with the most power? And more to the point, is their access always on 24/7? Because if it is, that's a huge risk we need to talk about. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll kick things off by looking at the core problem itself. Then we'll introduce the solution and walk through a full strategy for planning, assigning, and keeping an eye on that privileged access. First up, let's get right to the heart of the issue, which is the very real danger that comes with permanent, always-on administrative access. In security, the name of the game is shrinking your attack surface, right? Well, having a bunch of people with permanent, powerful access is basically like handing out master keys to your entire building. It just dramatically increases the chances that a key gets stolen by an attacker or that a totally authorized person just accidentally unlocks the wrong door and causes a huge problem.
Okay, enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution, because there is a really elegant one. It's all built around this concept called just-in-time access.
And the tool that makes this all happen is called Privileged Identity Management, or PIM for short. So instead of that permanent master key, think of PIM as a super smart concierge. It gives you a temporary key, but only for the specific room you need to get into and only for the exact amount of time you need to be there. Once you're done, poof, the key doesn't work anymore. And this is where it gets really cool. Look at the level of control you get here. We're talking about granting access for a super specific window of time. You can make it so a manager has to approve it before anything happens. You can force multi-factor authentication. And you can even require a justification, so you have a record of why someone needed to use their powers. It's pretty incredible. But, and this is a big but, you can't just flip a switch and expect this to work. A really successful PIM deployment starts with a solid plan and, maybe even more importantly, getting the right people in the same room from day one. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. Implementing this stuff is a total team sport. You've got to have your identity architects, the ones who own the actual plumbing. You need the service owners who know what their teams do day to day. You need the security folks to give it the green light. And yeah, you even need to talk to the help desk and the actual end users to make sure the whole process doesn't grind everything to a halt. Okay, so now we're getting to the absolute core of the strategy. It all comes down to a famous idea in security, the principle of least privilege. In plain English, it means giving people only the access they need for only as long as they need it. No more, no less. The big takeaway here is so simple but so important. You can't protect what you don't understand. And the process is just pure logic. First, figure out what all these fancy admin roles can actually do. Second, make a list of who has them right now. And third, and this is the most critical step, clean house. Get rid of all the permissions that people have but don't actually need. Only then do you start wrapping the remaining essential roles in PIM. So now you come to this really basic choice for every single role. Is it going to be permanently active? Always on, high risk? Or is it going to be eligible? This means the person is approved for the role, but they have to go through a formal step to activate it before they can use its powers. I think you can guess which one is better for security. Eligible is almost always the answer. And right here, you can see exactly what that looks like in the system. When you're setting someone up, you're not clicking active. Nope, you're choosing eligible. So that user has the potential to use that powerful role, but it just sits there, completely dormant and safe, until they actually go through the activation process. You can even see how you can set start and end dates for how long they're even eligible for it. Okay, so where on earth do you start with all this? It can feel a little overwhelming. The answer is, you prioritize. You go after the big ones first, the true keys to the kingdom, the roles that could cause the most damage if they fell into the wrong hands. We're talking about things like global administrator and security administrator. Those should be at the very top of your list. And the beauty of this is that you can completely customize the protection for each role. It is not one size fits all. So for something crazy powerful like a global admin, you're going to lock that down tight. Require MFA? Yes. Require an approval from another admin? Absolutely. And maybe you only let them activate it for an hour at a time. But for, say, a help desk admin, maybe that's different. Maybe they need it for their whole shift, so you give them 8 hours, and you don't require an approval. It's all about matching the level of protection to level of risk. All right, so you've planned it, you've configured it, you're feeling pretty good. But you're not done yet. This last part is all about being vigilant and, super importantly, having a plan B for when things go sideways. And honestly, one of the biggest wins you get from using PIM is this incredible built-in audit trail. Every single time somebody activates a privilege role, it's logged. You can go back and see exactly who did what, when they did it, and even the reason they gave for needing it. For security reviews, for compliance, this stuff is absolute gold. But what happens if your normal process fails? What if PIM itself is having an issue and you need to get in right now? This is where you absolutely, positively must have a backup plan. We call these break glass accounts. And it's not enough to just have them. The process for using them has to be documented, practiced, and ready to go at a moment's notice. And that brings me to a really crucial point. These emergency accounts are not something you can just set up and forget about. The credentials have to be locked down but still accessible in a real crisis. The process to use them needs to be drilled, like a fire drill. You have to monitor these accounts like a hawk for any weird activity. And please, do not tie the MFA for your break glass account to a single person's phone. What if they're on a plane? You've got to validate these things work and do it regularly. And that's a wrap. We've gone from the problem to the solution to a whole strategy for getting this done right. So it really just leaves one last question for you to think about. Looking at your own organization, how secure are those privileged accounts, really? Maybe it's time to start locking down some of those master keys.